Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about suspensions and retardations. These are accented non-harmonic tones and they both involve holding a note over from the previous chord, but they resolve different ways. So for a suspension, we hold the note over from the previous chord and then resolve by step down. So hold it over, resolve by step down. A lot of the time you'll see a suspension and it'll be obvious because it's tied, but a suspension doesn't always need to have a tie, so you have to sort of be aware of that. So if we look at this first example, we could put a suspension. If you're looking for places to put a suspension, anytime there's a step down in one of the parts is a good place to look. So we have a step down from C to B in the tenor part. So the suspension is made up of three parts: the preparation, the suspension itself, and then the resolution. So the preparation is just the note from the previous chord, so in this case the C. The suspension means that we're holding it over, suspending it, so it clashes with this next chord on the downbeat, and then it resolves down by step. So this one sounds like there are four basic types of suspension that you'll see most often: the 9/8 suspension, the 7/6 suspension, the 4/3 suspension, and the 2/3 suspension. And basically what that means is it gives you the dissonant interval of the suspension, usually above the bass, and then what it resolves to. So in this case we have the dissonant interval of a fourth, so the G to the C is a fourth, and that resolves down by step to a third. So we're going to call this a 4/3 suspension. It's important when you label suspensions to label what kind of suspension it is. So 4/3 suspension here. Let's look at this next one. See if you can find a place to put a suspension. Okay, there are two options for a suspension here. One comes from the C and then goes down to the B. So preparation, we've got the C already, it's a chord tone. The suspension itself is the dissonance, and then the resolution steps down. So in this case we'll leave the tie off so you can hear how it sounds a bit more pronounced when you do it that way. So we would call this again the suspension sus 4/3 because that's the dissonance, the fourth above the bass falling to the third above the bass. The other option here is from the A to the G. So let's see what this one is. So this A is a ninth above the bass, and then it falls to the 8th. So we wouldn't call it a 2/1, that would be sort of confusing. So it's going to be a 9/8 suspension, and that one sounds like this. So maybe not quite as good as the 4/3, but still a very nice sound. A retardation is just like a suspension, except it goes up instead of resolving down. And we don't have to put numbers with retardations. They happen a lot less often than suspensions, usually at the end of a piece. So a very classic retardation would be from the B, which is our preparation. The retardation again is an accented non-harmonic tone, and then it goes up, resolves up by step, and we would just mark that as ret. And that's really it for retardations. They're sort of a little bit simpler than suspensions. When it comes to doubling with suspensions, you should be careful not to double the note of resolution unless it's the 9/8. It's okay to double the roots, that's fine. But for this 4/3, I know you wouldn't double the third anyway because it's a 5 chord, but say it wasn't a 5 chord. You try and avoid doubling that third because it's like reading the last page in a mystery novel, sort of. You don't want to give away what the suspension is going to go to, and it takes a lot of the juiciness out of it, I guess. So 9/8 suspension, it's okay to double the resolution note. The 4/3 and the 7/6, I would avoid it. Okay, and that's suspensions and retardations.